Well, good morning, everyone. I hope you have completed the assignments of the previous lessons, and questions followed after each assignments are equally important. So I hope everyone has completed all the assignment questions. All the questions are compulsory. Once the school reopens, then I'll be checking all the registers. So kindly update your registers, complete all the assignments given to you after each and every lesson, after each and every topics and subtopics. So kindly finish it off. Today we'll be starting with a new lesson, and that is called staff motivation. We all are aware, no? What is motivation? If I ask you in simple language, many of you are knowing this word motivation, and many of you are also confused with motivation and morale. So first of all, let's find out a technical definition what is actually motivation. So before going to the definition, I would like you to first find out what is motivation, the meaning and the definition of motivation. You know what, why, or when we say about what is definition, what is the meaning of the word definition? In simple language, if I tell you, motivation may be defined as the process of inducing or inspiring people to take the desired course of action. That means you are inspiring people, you are inducing people to come and take the desired course of action. It means a process of basically stimulating people to action, to accomplish their desired goals. You know what? You are actually not only stimulating them, but you are also stimulating them to action and to accomplish the desired goals. And then when I talk about the definition, let's find out the term motivation. What is the term motivation? Motivation, actually, according to your lines which is given here in the slide, you can see the term motivation has been derived from the word motive. Motive means the urge to do something. It is an energizing and activating force. You can understand from here that it is not a very small job. It is an activating force, an energizing force, which is giving you energy to do something. Motive is that force within a person which makes him to act or behave in a certain manner. That is what a motive is, right? How you are behaving. And for the motive, you behave accordingly. For that purpose, motive is the reflection of needs and wants. A manager offers some incentive to motivate his employees. Now here, when we talk about this is what basically the motivation is all about. But there can be certain definitions given by some other people. You can note down also, motivation means the process of stimulating people to action or to accomplish desired goals. You know, that is very important. You are stimulating people to accomplish to action. You are stimulating people to action and to accomplish their desired goals. When we talk about this, now when the next slide which we have is very simple. The definition is clear. Now we move on to the next slide, and the next slide is about nothing else but what is basically the characteristic of staff motivation. What are the characteristic of staff motivation? You can see that we read the first point. Motivation is a psychological concept. It's based on the human needs which generate within an individual. That means whatever needs are generating in us, motivation depends upon that. Needs are actually the feelings in the mind of a person that he lacks certain things. Such feelings influence the behavior and the activities of the individual. That is why the needs are important. Now, point number 2, you see, motivation is total and not a piecemeal. A person cannot be motivated in parts. That means it's a total thing. Person cannot be motivated in part. An employee is an indivisible unit actually. You cannot divide an employee and his needs. He cannot be motivated by fulfilling some of his needs partly. Like suppose you are motivating some of his needs and some of his needs are not motivated. So ultimately he will not be satisfied. So ultimately what you have to do is you have to motivate him completely. Motivation is a continuous process. It's not a time-bound program or something, touch and go kind of an affair. You just come and you touch and then you go. No, it's not like that. It's not a touch and go affair. It's a continuous process which keeps going on and on. As soon as one need is satisfied, the another new one arises. Like suppose a person is not having a bicycle. Once he gets a bicycle, now he wants a bike. And once he had a bike, now he wants a KTM. And once he has a KTM, now he wants a four-wheeler. Once he has a four-wheeler, he wants a chauffeur. So ultimately what is happening, after each needs, another needs arises. The point number 4, motivation causes goal-directed behavior. When I say goal-directed behavior, actually what I mean, a person behaves in such a way that he can satisfy his goal or needs. For satisfaction of his goals and needs, he needs to be motivated. A person will work as long as he feels his actions are fulfilling his strongly felt needs. So he will not pursue the activity. The next point number 5, motivation may be financial or non-financial. You can call it a pecuniary or non-pecuniary. Okay, you can call it a monetary or non-monetary. All are same thing. Financial incentives include the pay, the allowances, bonuses, etc. Non-financial incentives are recognition, the praises which you get, the responsibilities you are given, you are taken into consideration, your decision making, your participation in the decision making, all this, a challenging job given to you, all this comes under the characteristic of staff motivation. This is actually very, very important. There's one more additional point which is not mentioned in the slide, but still you should know. I'm telling you for your extra knowledge, for your advantage. Actually, motivation is also a complex process. How come it's a complex process? Because there is no universal theory for this. You know what? There is no well-defined universal theory for this. That is why it's a complex process. A manager has to analyze and understand a variety of needs and has to use a variety of rewards to satisfy them. He should not expect overnight result. You cannot expect something which can happen overnight. It takes time. It is actually a complex process. Now, if I sum up right from the beginning, what I told you, the first point, motivation is a psychological concept. The word psychology is related to the mind. So it's based on the human needs which generate within an individual's mind. Needs are the feelings in the mind of a person. I want this, I want that. Needs generate in the mind of a person. Point number 2, motivation is total, not a piecemeal. That means an employee cannot be motivated in parts. The entire employee needs to be motivated and all his needs have to be taken care of. Point number 3, motivation is a continuous process. It's keep on going. It's not a touch and go affair. You come, you touch and then you go. No, it's an ongoing process. It's not actually a time-bound process. Then we studied the next point number 4, and that says motivation causes goal-directed behavior. You know what? The goal is already been directed. You know where you have to go. There's a goal which has been set up and you need to follow that goal. So goal-directed behavior, it's already pre-set up. Next point we have studied is motivation may be financial or non-financial. I told you motivation, financial means monetary, something pecuniary. Non-financials are non-monetary, non-pecuniary, and then I told you what comes under it. The financial incentives includes the pay, allowances, bonuses, perquisites. All this comes under financial incentives. And what comes under the non-financial incentives? Recognition, praises, rewards, responsibilities, participation in the decision-making process, challenging jobs being given. So all these things comes under the non-financial aspect or non-financial incentives. Now moving, as I told you, the last point, as I told you, it's a complex process. That means there is no universal theory to solve this process. And that is why this process is complex, because you cannot solve this process with a universal theory. You should not actually what happened is you cannot expect the result overnight. It takes time. Understood? Individuals differ in what motivates them. Each and every individual have their own preferences. They have their own motivation level. Who's getting motivated by what is different. And ultimately people do conceive in that way. I am getting motivated by a certain thing. He's getting motivated by another thing. right? So ultimately everybody's motivation level is different, can't be same. Am I clear? So this is what we have learned so far. In this slide, we have learned what motivation is, the definition of motivation, the meaning of motivation, and the characteristic of motivation. Coming up in the next slide is the difference between the motivation and the morale. So we'll be going on to the next slide, and then we'll see what we can study in that slide. Till then, complete all the assignment once again I'm telling you, and the assignment which follows for this slides also. Thank you. Well, good morning everyone. In this slide we'll be learning the difference between the motivation and morale. I hope you have completed the question answers, the assignment of the previous slide. Yes, keep completing. Don't keep anything for the last moment. Now in this slide we'll be seeing, as you can see, it's already reflected on the screen, the difference between the motivation and morale. And there are different bases of comparison, bases of distinction been given. The first point you see, the first bullet is, point number 1 is meaning. So on the basis of their meaning, what's actually the difference between motivation and morale? The first point you see, meaning. Motivation actually is the process of inspiring people to work hard for the achievement of the desired common goals. You are actually inspiring people so that they are going to work hard in order to achieve the goal. You know what, if you are going to work hard, you will achieve the goal. So that is what called the inspiration is needed, and that is nothing but motivation. And what is morale? On the other hand, what is morale? On the other hand, morale is actually a composite of feelings, the attitudes and sentiments. Actually, what is happening? The feeling, the sentiment, and the sentiments, the attitudes, the feelings, all are summing together, all are coming together, and that is what the morale is all about. So that is why I call it the composite. Composite means together, composition, that means mixture of so many factors. Now looking on to the next point, on the basis of nature, point number 2. You look on to point number 2, nature. So there's a difference in the nature of motivation and morale. So motivation is actually an individual willingness to work, but morale is not for individual, it's for a group of people. Actually, we can say a motivation is for a single individual, but morale is a group phenomena. It's for a group of people. Together they are doing it. So that is why we can say morale is a group process. It's a group phenomena. Now point number 3, on the basis of their basis, the distinction is motivation is a function of needs and incentives, whereas morale is a function of interpersonal relationship within the group. That means what are your needs and incentives comes under motivation. What are your interpersonal relationship among your group members, that comes under the morale. Point number 4, you see the meaning difference. The point number 4, motivation can be created through both rewards and penalties, whereas morale can be created only through positive means. That means for motivation you can have both positive as well as negative means. You can understand rewards are positive quality, whereas penalties are negative qualities. But what is happening under morale? Morale is only created through positive means. You cannot have negative means for morale. So that's a difference. Point number 5 is done. Now you can see point number 5, the difference in the interrelationship. Point number 5, difference in the interrelationship. Actually, a well-motivated person tends to have a high morale. If a person is a motivated person, he'll have a high morale. But a person with high morale may or may not be highly motivated. That is again, if suppose, so we can say no, well-motivated person may have high morale, but not necessarily that person with a high morale is motivated. So it's like no, so we can say in this way that all motivated person can have high morale, but all high morale people cannot be motivated. It's not that they can be motivated. It's not a compulsion. So that was point number 5. There is one more difference which is not mentioned, but you should know actually how it is mobilized on the basis of the mobilization, motivation and morale. Motivation, how it is mobilized. Motivation is mobilized with physical and mental energy towards the job, and on the contrary, morale is concerned with the mobilization of sentiments towards the total situation. What are your sentiments attached towards the total situation? How you taking things? So that was the difference between motivation and morale. In the same slide, we'll also have the second slide coming up, and that is importance of staff motivation. That means, why is staff motivation important? Motivation, you all know, is the most crucial factor actually for determining the efficiency and the effectiveness of the organization. So all the organization basically go for this. Now look on to the first point. High motivation provides the following advantages. Looking on to the first point, higher efficiency. So when we say higher efficiency, what do I mean by this? Motivation is an effective instrument in the hands of management, basically to maximize the efficiency of operations. That means if I am having higher motivated people, then obviously the efficiency is also higher. A worker may be very competent, but no activity can take place until the person have an individual willing to perform. Maybe person is very competent, but he's not working, he's not willing to do. What employees do depends largely on how much and why they want to do. So motivated employees give greater performance than demotivated ones. This is very important and quite obvious. If a person is motivated, he will give you better performance than the one who are demotivated, the one who are not motivated. Point number 2, optimum utilization of resources. Optimum means maximum. So what is happening? Motivation inspire employees to make best use of what? The factors of production. Basically, you know what the factors of production are. So they are actually tempting you to make the best use of these factors of production. What are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital and entrepreneurship. Yes, you have studied so far. So what is happening? They work wholeheartedly to apply their abilities and potential in minimizing waste and cost. You know what? Employees giving their 100%. Wholeheartedly they are applying their abilities, their potential in minimizing waste and the cost. They don't want anything wasted, because if the employee is motivated, he will not be wasting anything. The enterprise can make maximum use of its physical and financial resources through this. Point number 3, reduction in labor turnover. I've already discussed with you what labor turnover is in the previous slides in lesson recruitment when we were doing it. Now, higher motivation leads to job satisfaction of workers. You know what? When an employee, a worker is highly motivated, he's satisfied with the job. Opportunities for the need satisfaction make employees loyal and committed to the organization. When I'm happy from inside, I'll be committed towards the organization. I'll be loyal towards the organization. I'll be happy working in that scenario with the people, with those people around me. As a result, labor absenteeism and labor turnover are lowered. Point number 4, you see, easier selection. What is easier selection? Is an enterprise that offer abundant financial and non-financial incentives enjoys reputation in the labor market. You know what? People will be talking, the workers keep talking, this company is better, that company is better, this boss is different from that boss, he's very good or she's very good. doing so much for us, taking so much care for us. Ultimately, what happened? A repo is created, a reputation is built up, an image, a strong image is built up. Therefore, it can easily attract competent person for filling the various vacancies. Like what happened? Everybody wants to work in the reputed companies because we all know they are very good ones. They will pay you better. They have the good working conditions. They understand the employees well, their problems well. Okay, they give them space. They give them leverage. They give them area of freedom as such. Right? It's possible. Its public image actually is improved. Not the I'm not just saying possible. Actually, the possible public image is improved basically here. Now, moving on to the next point. It facilitates change. High motivation helps to reduce resistance to change. You know what? When an employee is highly motivated, he will help in reducing the resistance to change. He will help you in changing the thing because he is motivated, so he wants lots of changes. He will be appreciating, he will be allowing you to do that. There's one more better point can be added, which is not here in the slide. I think you can add on. Point number 6, you can add on better industrial relations. That is also a very easy point. You know what? When employees are motivated better, increased labor productivity in turn result in higher wages for employees. You know what? When they are motivated higher, you are giving them higher wages. Motivational schemes create integration basically. So there arises a sense of belonging and mutual cooperation at all levels. At every level, people are mutually cooperating with each other. Motivation will foster team spirit among workers. They'll develop team spirits. A team spirit is developed among the workers. This will reduce again the labor unrest, creates a better relation between the manager and worker, and that is the need of the hour. You need, you know what, a developed company or a company which is working professionally, or a company which is doing its thing professionally, they want what? They want no unrest, no labor unrest, right? They want to create a better relation between this management and the workers. They don't want anything going haywire, no? We want everything in a proper way, proper line. Everything should go together. Everything should go in a coordination, in a proper link, right? So that is why we can say if a motivated employee will reduce labor unrest and it will create better relation between management and workers. So this is again very important. A better relation between the management and the worker is created. So with this we have come to the end of this slide explanation. I hope you all have done the importance of staff motivation properly. You have understood everything. Again, I will tell you, we have the question that follows from this. Kindly do write all the questions in the register. Don't leave anything. We need to have a proper record. This is class 12 and we must not forget this right from the very beginning. This has to be taken care of. Don't leave anything for the last moment. Maybe this crisis can extend a little more further, but then we have to understand that this is our class 12 and we should not play any fool around like this. So I think I have made myself very clear. In this slide we have done the importance of staff motivation. Coming up in the next slide we'll be going for the other topics as well. So kindly create a link, keep saving these pages, these links along with the files in your mobile phones, in your laptops, in your iPads, whatever you have. So iPads, anything. So ultimately you keep a record of it, all this. Am I clear? Thank you for now.